Hey, last night I watched another hour of the Brady podcast on Netflix.
The roast.
God, I love it.
I'm finished.
Did I say podcast?
You did.
Roast. It was, I saw Gronk
Yep.
and Bill Belichick.
Oh, yes.
I have 40 minutes left.
Okay.
And I don't want to rush it.
I'm not giving anything away.
If you love comedy, and does anyone remember laughter? Tracy Morgan at Parks Casino this Saturday night. Plus, from the TV show Jersey Shore, It's Happening podcast live with Snooki and Joey coming back to the Parks Casino June 28. Hannah Berner and Paige DeSorbo with the Giggly Squad podcast. That's October 19. The Marshall Tucker Band. My God, they've got such a diverse lineup of stuff coming to Parks Casino. Comedian Michael Blaustein, October 25th. All at Parks Casino, the number one casino experience in the state of Pennsylvania. Parks Casino, this is how you win. They've got it all. It is my casino of choice. Parks Casino has 3,200 state-of-the-art slots, 115 live table games, a beautiful poker room, state-of-the-art sports book with a 150-foot-long video wall, and the ultra-cool X Lounge. Dining options, diversified and all terrific. I like the Parks Grill Steakhouse. Headliners every weekend, free parking. My God, what more do you need? Visit Parks, P-A-R-X Casino.com. This is how you win. You got to be 21. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Time now for the headlines from the Wednesday edition of the Smerconish.com daily newsletter. Okay. I have in front of me now the transcript of Stormy Daniels' testimony yesterday in the Trump business records hush money case, however you want to caption it. I'm not going to read to you. I'm not going to read to you about the intimacy, but to make my point about the level of detail that was offered in the courtroom yesterday. How about this? She's in the hotel room with him.
Okay.
Right? She comes up because they're supposed to go to dinner. When she gets there, he's in silk or satin pajamas.
Okay.
He has a different plan.
Yes.
They have conversation. It's very detailed. In the transcript, here's an interesting thing. He was, and I could totally see this. He was curious about the business side of her business,
According to her.
Yeah, wanted to know all about how much does it take to make one of these movies? How often are you tested? The production, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Well, I'm glad he asked about how often she was tested.
At a certain point, condom conversation detailed in here.
Yikes.
At a certain point, she needs to use the restroom within the hotel suite. What did you see inside the bathroom? So I walked into the bedroom. I did notice that the bed was unmade. There were no personal items around. I entered the bathroom. I went into the separate area where the toilet actually was and used the bathroom, came out and was washing my hands and touching up my lipstick. This is like 12 years old, by the way. This happened a long time ago.
Yeah.
I did notice someone had obviously been using the restroom. There were towels and stuff that was open. There was a leather looking toiletry bag on the counter with products and stuff in it, like a DOP kit.
Sure.
What do you remember about what was inside? I did look. I'm not proud of it. I wondered what was in there. By the way, wasn't there a whole Seinfeld about the medicine cabinet?
Absolutely. They were at someone's house. Maybe it was like the Hamptons or something.
I don't know. I just remember like
cabinet.
they looked at it, there was something in there. I think Elaine got all freaked out about it.
Right.
I have to go back and find that and watch it.
There's no question. But that's why you need to have a separate bathroom for guests.
I'm trying to make a point here that this is a case that is theoretically about election law violations. And just to give you a feel for how far afield they were yesterday from the election law violations, the $130,000, and what was Trump's motive in paying it to her? Was his motivation to make sure the electorate didn't know about this? Because it was now, even though this happened a long time ago, it was now the 11th hour of the campaign, and it was post-Access Hollywood grab him by the P tape. Or was he seeking to protect his family? Or some combination of both, probably, right? And as I've discussed with Ellie Honig, it's going to come down to a substantial factor. Was the motivation, the election a substantial factor in Trump's motive? We got way far afield yesterday, and all the coverage has been about the intimacy and the sex And my poll question relates to the sexual aspect of this. But here's just one illustration of 100 I could give you as to where else they traveled. What do you remember about what was inside the DOP kit? I did look. I'm not proud of it. I wondered what is in here. And I noticed the toiletry was, the same items were, I'm reading it literally, Old Spice and Pert Plus. I didn't take him for an Old Spice guy, by the way.
No? Well, that was then.
I don't know.
He might have evolved.
You remember I got from Eric X, the intern.
Yes.
That my birthday gift, my anniversary gift?
It was Christmas because he was refilling your man bag.
Right. And he gave me a cologne from the 80s.
Dakar.
And he nailed it. I did wear that then. And I find myself every once in a while just going like total old school English leather.
Oh, there you go.
I think the first time that I ever wore cologne in my life was when I got from, like an aunt or a relative, a sample of English leather.
Oh.
I think it was my Aunt Bess because she used to work at a cosmetics counter.
I love this. So
and I, like 8
something.
years old, I would do this,
Yeah. Yeah.
And one of my favorites has always been Old Spice. I'm not trying to divert this into an Old Spice conversation.
Yeah, here you are.
And hear him.
Yeah.
Pert Plus, is that an arm deodorant, Pert Plus, or is that soap?
It's shampoo, I think.
Is it?
I mean, that's what I thought it was.
I wouldn't have to worry about that.
Yeah.
Quote, I thought, and back to Stormy Daniels.
Yeah, it's shampoo.
I thought it was both amusing and odd. And a manicure set, which was gold tweezers and all gold things. So she's like rifling through his bag.
Like a little,
She's like rifling through his bag a la Seinfeld.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, and so what is my point? My point is that yesterday, there are 4 Trump trials, potentially. This one is the one that I've always regarded as the least politically perilous to him. As I've been saying, the one that I think is the straightforward case, the slam dunk case, is the Mar-a-Lago case, the document case, the classified document case, because in that case, they've got the CCTV, the video system from Mar-a-Lago and a lot of texts from all the actors. That's just going to make it crystal clear that he had materials that he was told weren't his. He refused to give them back and he played a shell game. But of course, now we don't know whether that case gets tried because the judge, Aileen Cannon, in that case yesterday refused to set a trial date. That's one federal case. The second federal case is the one involving January 6th. That's the most legally perilous for him, I think, but we're awaiting the Supreme Court determination as to what's going to happen with that case. Nathan Wade and Fani Willis took off track the Georgia prosecution that doesn't look like. So it's like this. It's this case. And what is this case? And when I've referred to it as a hush money trial case or a case about sex, many have said to me, no, it's about election law violations. It's a business records case, right?
Yeah, it's like a data.
But not yesterday.
Yeah. No,
not yesterday.
Yesterday
I still question whether her testimony was even necessary, but it got so far afield yesterday, and whether it's hard. It's hard. I'm reading the transcript, and it's hard for me to see whose fault is it that, as I've learned from Ellie Honig, they had a conversation at the bench with the lawyers. We're going to try and keep some guardrails.
Maybe no one told Stormy.
Right, but okay. Well, there's a whole question in my mind as to why so much got in that shouldn't have gotten in. But here's the issue. It did get in. And so the jurors heard very salacious details. And what I'm asking in the poll question today is whether the case now really has become a case about sex and not a case about documents and election law violation. I'm not saying for sure that if it's a case about sex, then the prosecution loses. What guides my thought process to think about the Clinton experience in the 90s, and my takeaway then, paid very close attention, talked about it on air, is that in the end, people are like, do we really need to know all this? He shouldn't have done what he did, but it's not grounds to throw him out. And I'm wondering if jurors in this case will have a similar reaction. I think the prosecution is, checking all the boxes and getting what they need in for a prosecution for a conviction. I'm not saying that Trump gets acquitted or a hung jury as a result of this, but it was not a case yesterday about business records and election law violations. That's the point that I'm making, and the DOP kit of all things, stands out in my mind.
I was thinking about you yesterday because you always say that when you have a witness, the details matter, that the small details that you can say. You always give the example of, I know it was raining. I know, well, how do you know it was raining on that particular Saturday? Well, I know it was raining because it was my wedding day, or I know it was raining. If there are particular things that tie you to that, and it's sort of like, but that's not what's on trial here. We're not asking whether or not they had sex. We're not asking whether or not she was in that hotel room. Although now, who can be questioning that? In my mind.
2C. There's no doubt in my mind it happened.
Right.
No doubt.
No.
And to your observation.
People forget, though, that he has denied it.
Yes.
Okay.
To your observation of me always thinking that the devil is in the details. And that's
our
the thumbnail
right.
for this conversation
Right. But
for
I thought
you
of that
two.
yesterday as this was coming out.
Yeah, she would have to be diabolical. She would have to be completely twisted and unstable to make up that he has Old Spice and Pert.
Plus.
Right.
Right.
So, what are we saying? It happened.
It happened.
But does that make it an election law violation? No. There's nothing illegal. There's nothing illegal about the two of them. Where was it? Lake Tahoe having sex in Nevada. There was nothing illegal about, and there's nothing illegal about a hush money payment. What's illegal is if he tried to hide it. You can't give yourself $130,000 in a presidential campaign. You've exceeded the federal limit. What does the DOP kid have to do with that? Nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing is my point. Okay, more headlines now from the Wednesday edition of the newsletter. Just a reminder, the Asheville presentation of the Mingle Project legitimately was sold out. We never expected that we were going to need additional seats. It's kind of like, I remember having the experience back in the day of the Spectrum would put tickets on sale, and the tickets would sell very well, and they would say, well, you know what, maybe we should open up the back of the stage. I'm not opening up the back of the stage, but balcony seats are available as of today, as I mentioned,
awesome.
10 a.m. I also want to point out, don't want to belabor it, but I certainly want to note and thank former Pennsylvania Governor Ed Rendell, unsolicited by yours truly, for writing a letter to the college president at Dickinson saying essentially, like, why in the hell did you disinvite Michael Smerconish? It's in the newsletter. If it were somebody else caught up in this circumstance, I would talk about it maybe even more than I'm talking about it today. But read Governor Rendell's letter. It's strong, and I think it's appropriate. Yesterday, poll results, TC, 26,824 votes cast. Does Donald Trump want Judge Merchan to send him to jail for contempt of court? How about this?
I was shocked at that.
76.16% of the 26,000 and change. I don't want to take that for granted. Nearly 27,000 voted yesterday.
I'm just trying to push it to 30.
I know. Come
everyone,
on.
please vote today.
Let's get there.
Come on.
Please.
Today could be the day.
If you've never voted, we have a great poll question today.
Call your sister. Call your mother.
Yeah.
Tell them to vote.
Is the Trump trial now about sex?
There you go.
That's today's poll question. So 76.16% say, yeah, Trump is egging the judge on to please send him to jail.
I mean, he's certainly not stopping. So there's that.
Correct. Rob Rogers, thank you for your editorial cartoon today in the newsletter.
Wow.
Do you want to comment on that, TC?
Well, in the hey, get off my lawn category.
Hey, kids!
Yeah. So we have Biden's age being the problem because he's trying to get the tents off the lawn at the White House. It really is something.
Oh, my God. How's this going to look in the book?
Flip.
You know, again, I have to say, when I look at this editorial cartoon of Joe Biden leaning out on the balcony of the White House and, saying, hey, you kids, get off my lawn, and they're camping with their tents, ceasefire now, free Gaza, end the war. It will be, rather than reading about this chapter of the campaign, to just see this cartoon by Rob Rod brings it all home.
It's like,
oh, my God, you remember that?
And then, and yesterday's one with the gag order, and all of a sudden we'll remember, like, all of this was happening at the same time. We had the, split screen of the protests, the campus protests, the president's trial, all of this going on with the backdrop of Biden's age. It's unbelievable. And don't forget about Kristi Noem. That got a couple.
Oh, Kristi Noem, I forgot.
Right. But if you flip back a couple cartoons, which we'll be able to do soon.
The news cycle moves so quickly. Big story today. Remember Austin McCain, who is our weekend editor at Smerconish.com, is an Eagle Scout.
We like that.
When I interviewed him, by now it's probably been 2 years ago. I mean, what stood out? I think no matter how old, he could be 30 years old and not 20-something. He could be 40. And if I knew he was an Eagle Scout, I'd be like, that's impressive.
No question.
So it was Austin who sent to me the story, and I've seen it everywhere, about the Boy Scouts changing their name to Scouting America. Obviously, they've had some problems, and I think this is a rebrand more than just wanting to get away from gender. But from ABC, in an effort to be more inclusive, the Boy Scouts of America changing its name to Scouting America, the organization announced on Tuesday. Were you ever, I could see you as a Girl Scout.
I was a Girl Scout momentarily, but first I was a brownie. Oh, right. First I was Indian Princess, which I'm sure you're not allowed to be anymore. Like I thought
that was like a men's drinking thing.
It is for the dads.
For the dads, they go away with the daughters and put them in front of a campfire and go booze it up.
So I was an Indian princess, and I'm sure. I mean, this is ridiculous now that I say this, and I'm sure. Don't cancel me. My sister and I were either one of us was Running Brook, and the other, the other was Climbing Rock. But I'm not sure. I think I was Running Brook.
Christy remembers.
Maybe
ask her.
Christy remembers everything, but maybe I was Climbing Rock.
Well, you were either Climbing Rock
or Running Brook.
Oh,
and we had.
I'm going to give you a new.
But no,
Indian
you don't
name.
understand. We had feathers that.
I understand.
The whole
I
thing.
can come up with a better name for you than that.
Oh,
I'd like to work on it.
Would you like to?
Yeah.
What name are you going to come up with, Michael?
I don't know.
What could possibly go wrong?
I have a vague recollection of either being or my brother being a Weeblo.
Oh, what's that?
I have a vague recollection. I can picture the uniform.
Isn't the brownie before the Girl Scout? I think I was a brownie.
Right. I think that I was, or my brother, obviously.
A Boy Scout?
No. A precursor to the Boy Scouts.
Okay, so that's what I was too.
But I don't even remember if it was, one of the. I just don't know.
Right.
Weeblo.
I have a picture of me in my Indian princess.
I want to see that. I do. Can we put that in the newsletter?
I'll find it.
I love that.
With my dad, who's so cute.
Governor Kathy Hochul.
Oh yeah,
I know this is like being done on a loop on Fox.
On a loop.
Yeah. But I want to say something about this.
Okay.
Go ahead. Tell the story.
You want me to play the audio?
I want you to do both.
Okay. So this from the Huffington Post. New York Governor Kathy Hochul has said she, quote, misspoke when she claimed some black children in the Bronx don't know the word computer. On Monday, the governor was highlighting her $400 million artificial intelligence initiative at a meeting of billionaires and business leaders in California when she said this.
Young black kids growing up in the Bronx who don't even know what the word computer is. They don't know. They don't know these things. And I want the world to open up to all of them, because when you have their diverse voices innovating solutions through technology, then you're really addressing society's broader challenges.
I'm not criticizing her for this. And I'm going to tell you why. I remember, I've told the story many times, years ago, by now, a good 10 years, maybe 12 years ago, our friend David L. Cohen, who is today the ambassador to Canada.
Yes.
He is the United States ambassador to Canada. And boy, are our friends in Canada fortunate to have him, because he's brilliant and he's got the ear of the president and he's a really good guy. He was formerly, I want to get it right, in a very high level at Comcast, senior executive vice president, yes. I want to say. So one
day, he was like number 2.
And I've known David for many, many years and consider him to be a friend. But in this instance, I went to hear him give a formal presentation about the digital divide in the country. And I was blown away by it, because I was then so naive in just assuming that as I have connectivity and our family and kids have connectivity, everybody's got connectivity.
Right.
And instead, what I learned from him in this presentation with PowerPoint was that there were connectivity deserts.
We had him on the program
to talk about it
in the old joint.
Yeah, yes. Because I'm sure came in and said, we got to get David L.
We got to get a David L. Yeah.
And I know that to this day, Comcast, and thank you Comcast for your support. I'm not blowing smoke at Comcast right now because they support the program. It's because they're doing a good thing. And I know that they've invested a fortune in trying to ensure that Americans of
Don't
any
have those
background
deserts.
and don't have connectivity issues.
Yeah.
So when I hear Kathy Hochul say that, I say, hold on, before you condemn her as if she's saying something implying that they're not smart enough. No, it's not an intelligence comment she's making. It's a connectivity comment I think she's making. So before coming on, I just did a very rudimentary Google and came to the National Urban League, NUL.org. And there's a whole discussion that I'm reading here about African-American households and connectivity. Two statistics jump out. Nearly 31% of black households are without high-speed home internet, and 17% have no computer. Can you imagine raising children today? What a disadvantage those kids are at if they are part of the nearly 1/3 that don't have high-speed internet. 44.5% of households making less than $25,000 annually have no high-speed home internet, and nearly 29% don't have a computer. So I don't know if Kathy Hochul has walked this back, if she's apologized, whatever, but there's a problem.
She has. She said she misspoke.
Okay. I mean, I'm sure there's a better way of saying it. Geez, this is a little reminiscent of something else that's been discussed on this program this week, where there's something factually accurate that needs to be said, and people want to play like, gotcha. Oh my God, what did you mean by that?
She said, of course, black children in the Bronx know what computers are. The problem is that they too often
don't
lack
have 'em.
access to the technology needed to get on track to high-paying jobs in emerging industries like AI.
Amen. Amen. Go vote at Smerconish.com on today's poll question. Thank you so much for listening to the program on POTUS. Are you a part of our YouTube community? You can actually... TC's a person you'd want to see each and every day. I was going to say she's easy on the eyes, but I'll get fired for that. Even if she was climbing rock
Or running brook.
or TP whatever. I'm going to come up with a better name for TC. Okay, see ya.